Black Hearts in Battersea by Joan Aiken, Chapter 12. Simon opened his eyes with difficulty. He was aware, first, of racking pains in all his joints, then that his head hurt. He moved and groaned. "Hush up then, your grace, my dearie," the voice exclaimed just above his head. "Hush up a moment while Nursey changes the bandage, and then you'll be all right and tight." Simon hushed. Indeed, it was all he could do, and a pair of hands skillfully anointed his head with cool ointment and wound in the bandages. "That's better," the voice said. "Isn't it now, your grace? Now old Nursey's going to rub you with oil of lavender to keep off the rheumatics. Lucky those jobberknolls brought some on their last shipment, or it would have had to be cod liver oil, which, say what you like, is not so pleasant." Without waiting for any reply, the hands set to work, pummeling and massaging his aching body until he was ready to gasp with pain. But after a little he became used to the treatment, even found it lulling, and drifted asleep again. When he next woke, he felt a great deal better. He raised himself on an elbow and looked about. He was in a small wooden cabin-like room, one wall of which was almost entirely window. The room was neatly and simply furnished, and the floor was covered with rush matting. A wood fire in a stone fireplace hissed and gave off green flames from sea-wrack. The bunk in which Simon lay was covered with a patchwork quilt. "I must be dreaming," he muttered. "Dreaming? Certainly not. Nobody dreams in my nurseries. Get this down you now, my precious grace." A firm arm hoisted him, and a cup was held to his lips. He choked over the drink, which was hot and had a strange, sweet, medicinal taste. "What is it? What is it?" he asked. "Doesn't know Nursey's own salop when he gets it. Best goat's milk, best Barbados, since those robbers won't bring me cane. Best Orist. You'll sleep easy after that, your grace." "Lovey." While she straightened his pillows, Simon for the first time succeeded in getting a look at the person who called herself Nursey. She was a plump elderly woman enveloped in a white starched apron. She had a cheerful, rather silly face, and a quantity of grey-brown hair, which she wore in an untidy bun on top of her head. "Where's Dido?" Simon suddenly asked. "Dido, diddly-o, where's Dido?" he asked. "Well, he may, for indeed there's nobody of that name on this island, to my certain knowledge." Simon's heart sank. "It is an island, then. Are there others?" "No, my ducky diamond." "Where did you find me?" "Out there," she said, and lifted him so he could see the sea. "We had a tiddly breath of a blow yesterday, and when the clouds lifted a bit, Nursey looks out, and what does she see? A lump of seaweed on a rock, she sees, only the seaweed has arms and legs, and there never was seaweed on that rock before, so Nursey gets out the rowing boat and rows across to have a look, and there's his blessed grace lying up to the knees in the water. Another half hour with the tide coming in, and you'd have been Gull's meat." "Indeed, I am very grateful," Simon said faintly, "but wasn't there also a little girl called Dido wearing a blue dress?" "No, dearie," she said quietly. "I must go out and look for her. And Justin, too," Simon exclaimed, struggling up. A spell of giddiness took him. With a disapproving cluck, Nursey laid him down again. "Don't you worry your gracious head, my dearie. If the little girls come to land, Nursey will know soon enough. The island's not so big. Why, there's only—" Her words were interrupted by a timid knock at the door. She turned. "Well, there! Perhaps the boy wasn't dreaming, unless it's the hermit." The door opened, and a damp, miserable finger tottered in. Justin, with soaked clothes and rags, and his draggled hair drooping over a cut on his forehead. "Fancy," said Nursey. "If it isn't another of 'em. Well, you are a drowned pickle to be sure." "Justin," said Simon eagerly, "have you seen Dido?" "Oh, hello, Simon. Are you there?" Justin sank limply into a wooden settle by the fire. "Dido? No, I've not seen her," he added listlessly. "I dare say she's drowned, if she hasn't turned up. I was, nearly. That wretched barrel broke on a rock. I think you might have found me something better." His words were muffled, for Nursey had seized a large towel, enveloped his head in it, and was rubbing his hair dry. No sooner had she finished and combed the hair back from his face than she let out a shriek. "Justin, my own precious poppet, my long-lost lamb, my bonny little bouncing blue-eyed babby!" She hugged Justin again and again. "Hey!" protested Justin. "Who do you think you are? I ain't your blue-eyed babby, I'm Lord Bakerloo." "Oh, no, you ain't, my Bubsy. You can't fool someone as has dandled you on her knee 1,000 times. Why, I'd know that scar on your chin anywhere. That was where your pa dropped you in the fender. Eustace was always clumsy-handed. Let alone you're as like him when he was young as 2 peas in a pod. And there's the mole on your neck and the bump on your nose. You're my own little Justin that I haven't seen since you was 2 years old." "I'm not, I tell you. I'm Lord Bakerloo." "Dearie, you can't be," she said calmly. "He's Lord Bakerloo. Him over there on the bunk. Or the Duke of Battersea, if his uncle ain't living yet. How do I know? Because of the Battersea tuft. I found it on the back of his head, plain as plain, when I was bandaging that nasty great cut he's got." Battersea tuft? What did the woman mean? Was she mad? Simon put his hand up to his bandaged head in perplexity and winced as he touched a tender spot. What tuft? "You must have been dicked on the knob," Justin persisted. "Who are you, anyway?" "Who am I? My precious, why, I'm your own ma, Dolly Buckle. That's who I am. And you're my precious little Justin Sebastian Buckle. Where's your pa, then, all these years? What's he doing now? I'll lay he's feathered his nest. Always a cold, cunning schemer was Eustace Buckle, planning on next Sunday's joint before this one was fairly in the oven." "Buckle?" Justin stammered. "You're trying to tell me he's my father? Oh, what a piece of stuff. I won't believe it. My father was Lord Henry Bayswater." "Oh, no, he wasn't, dearie. And don't speak like that of Eustace. A good husband he may not have been, but a careful father he was. It was on account of that I felt free to go off with Nat Dark. Ah, and the snaky in the grass he turned out to be, dumping me on this island because he said I talked too much. Oh, no, Master Henry Bayswater wasn't your father. Who should know better than I, as dandled his lordship on my knee? He had 2 children, Master Henry did, or so I did hear. Off in them Hanoverian parts, 2 children, a boy and a girl. You," she said to Simon, "you must be the boy, my precious lordship. What's your name?" "Simon," he told her weakly. "Simon, of course it would be, after your dear ma, Simone. She was Simone Riviere, Lady Helen Bayswater's daughter, and your own cousin to her husband. What? You mean I'm... But why should I... Oh, no, it can't be true," said Simon, sinking back on his pillow. "Of course it isn't." "Of course it isn't true," exclaimed Justin angrily. Nursey or Mrs. Buckle gave them a placid smile. "You'll allow I ought to know," she said. "I as is ma to one of you, and was nursemaid in the castle when to other one's pa was a boy, until the black day I married Eustace Buckle." "But I don't understand," Simon said. "If this mix-up